So, is DKOldies A Scam? Well, in today's video, we're going to be looking at an NES that I purchased from them and just see if it works or not, really. I mean, I have watched so many videos at this point about how DKOldies is pretty much one of the biggest scams out there right now. And personally, I mean, I just don't know. I haven't touched one of their consoles yet. I bought one, but I still haven't opened it. I am going to unbox it on camera for everybody. So you are still going to be able to see that. I'm going to test it as well, and then we're going to see if it works or not. If it works, fantastic. If it doesn't, then that's not great. I can't get my money back for it since I do intend on opening it up and just seeing what it looks like inside, what kind of job they have done. So we are going to be doing a deep dive on this still. But with that said, the point of this video isn't really to go after them or anything like that. It's just to see if they really are a scam, if every one of their units is going to end up being like this. Now granted, I did ask them to send this to me under Tech Summit, mostly so that I can justify writing this off as a business expense later on. It is important to note that I did want to kind of see if maybe that could have an effect on whether or not this console ended up coming back in decent condition or not, if it would be usable at the end of the day or not. But we are going to find all of these things out regardless, so let's dive right on. Okay, so first things first, we're going to be opening this bad boy up. So we've got a ton of packing bubbles here, as you will be able to see on camera, and they're just spilling out. So what I'm going to do is just take everything out of the box right now, because this isn't going to look great on camera. So let me just do that now. Okay, so I've gone ahead and unboxed everything. So this actually came with a bunch of different accessories. I did order a couple of things on top of the base package here. Now this particular unit is supposed to be in acceptable condition. So I'm not expecting the outside to look anything. I'm just not expecting it to look amazing or anything like that. What matters to me mostly is going to be if it works. That's why I went with the acceptable model. So opening this up, we are going to see that I'm gonna throw that piece of paper in there. This console, actually, by the looks of it, seems to be in pretty decent condition from the outside. It does look like it does have some scratches for sure. There is some damage on this nonetheless. I mean, again, I did ask for or pay for the acceptable condition one, so this is not going to be in the best of conditions. And besides it being acceptable, I would say that this is mostly okay. I don't think that this is really that big of a deal. Definitely going to be some scratches, some cosmetic issues on this, no doubt. But it's nothing too crazy and nothing that honestly bothers me really all that much. This also came with a game. I actually went with the Super Mario Bros. Duck Hunt bundle cartridge for this. It looks like this came with a third-party old school power adapter for the NES, SNES, and Genesis 1. I also ordered an AV to HDMI converter. We've also got the AV cables here, of course, and we are also going to get an HDMI cable. I suppose that is because the converter itself is just like a little box. But we are going to test how all of this is going to work. Now, from what I can see, the flap on this did just kind of open up. It doesn't seem like... I don't think that it's meant to be properly secured anyway, so I'm not going to really go in on that. But as I'm looking inside, just from here, the inside does look pretty bad. I'm going to try to show this on camera, of course, in the B-roll, so that you guys can also see it. But that does not look great. Hopefully, my camera can actually capture it, but I wouldn't keep my hopes up too much necessarily. But with that said, we're going to try and see what we can do. The cartridge does have some... Let me try to get this out. It's like... It does have something inside. It looks like it does have like a little bit of hair stuck to it, or maybe just like it could just be part of the packing peanuts. But yeah, this actually was not packed individually or anything like that. It was just kind of a little bit loose in the box. So that's worth noting. While everything else was actually packed rather neatly, so I am kind of surprised to see that. Now, while everything does appear to be in decent condition, I also wanted to note that I did request a third-party controller. This is from Old School, so this is not a first-party NES controller, which is okay by me. I think that it's fine. I'm clicking the buttons right now, and they're not like super comfortable to press, but they feel fine. I don't really have any issues with it. The D-pad does feel pretty nice, I will say. So, I mean, can't really complain too much about this package overall right now. So now the question is, what does it look like on the inside? Well, before we get into that, I first want to see if this will actually work. So I will try to plug this into my TV and then see if it works out of the box as it is. So when I actually tried to plug everything in and test it out, I had to say that I was severely disappointed. The console does work and it did power on right away, which is important. But once I did power it up and loaded Super Mario, I found that the game looked pretty bad. Not that it looked old, as obviously it will, but that it looks bad. There is something wrong with the visuals here. You will notice that if you take a look at Mario, Super Mario, over here, there is what I'm going to call a lot of smearing. The image looks bad, as in the pixels look like they've been smeared across. You will also notice with some other objects, such as the coins and glowing boxes in this Mario level, where the image still looks pretty bad, and like there is something wrong with the display part, probably internally, to be frank. There could be a couple of things wrong here. It could just be the display output portion maybe isn't working properly. It could just be that the 72 pin on the console itself just isn't properly refurbished, and it could also be that the cartridge just has an issue when it comes to its pins. Maybe the pins on that are dirty. It could be a variety of different things. I'm not really an expert in that front. So this is when I still wanted to go ahead and open it up. So I obviously have to say goodbye to that DKOldies sticker that I've grown so fond of and start unscrewing everything. So every screw comes off from the bottom, which is a total of 6, and then we can just lift open the NES. Inside, you will find something quite unappealing. So I wanted to first mention that the NES is a really, really old system. So maybe I can understand why some of this looks the way that it does. And I am going to make some bold assumptions here, I think. So if you do think that I am wrong about anything that I'm saying, or that some of this maybe is normal even for a refurbished system, then please let me know in the comments, as of course I'm always looking forward to learning. However, this was supposed to be refurbished, and I definitely expected more here. I paid almost $200 for this bundle of joy, and I have to say that this is rather disappointing. The metal on the NES shows lots of signs of rusting, and it definitely looks sturdy. You will notice that that's just the case for this entire upper portion upon opening up this console. Now I continued to unscrew everything as much as I could so that I could dig as deeply as possible within my own realm of knowledge. So this is my first NES after all, and it is my first time opening one up by proxy. So finally at the bottom, where the chip and capsules will be found, is revealed, and it doesn't really look too bad in here, if I'm honest. I didn't notice any swollen capsules or anything like that, but I did notice that there is some rusting around the metal, or some corrosion, I want to say, and that especially is going to apply to another section that I will touch on soon. So this console is not in the best shape. I also noticed that the metal around the display output is rusted, or just like really dirty around there. So maybe there was something even deeper going on in there that I just wouldn't know too well to identify. But that could be the source as to what is causing the image to look as bad as it does on screen. So looking further into some of the other things that could be wrong with this console are that some of the solder points are pretty much red with corrosion, which shows me that the metal around that has also gone through some rusting there too. Now this is much more obvious when you look at it as is, but I figured that it would be worth noting. Also, I noticed that there is a lot more rusting going on, or just really dirty portions on here in this area in general, so this console doesn't really feel like it got touched up much. Again, I thought that acceptable pertained to the exterior, and maybe it does, as inside it just looks like it hasn't been taken care of. I also found some spider webs, minor stuff around the cartridge slot of this system. I just wiped it off myself, but this is also not a welcome addition, as I would have expected this to be properly cleaned before being sent out. But it looks like maybe they did clean it at first and it just sat on their shelves for a long time. Hence, they sent me a dirty system. Yeah, so the metal pieces on this system just looked really gross and dirty, like they just left these components to age without bothering to polish them up or do something to make this more presentable. Granted, I understand that most people probably won't try to open up their consoles, but this is pretty meh to look at, if I'm honest. I will try to show more of it as I go, but it does look very good in some parts of the system. The main board looks okay, but literally everything else looks rusted and like they just didn't really touch it. I paid a lot of money to get the system in, as $200 or close to $200 is a lot of money for a system like this that doesn't even come with a first-party controller, unless you pay extra. I don't like this, like at all. So for that investment that I made, I lost a lot of money in the process. If games are just going to look like this every time now that I try to plug them into my super expensive NES, then I just don't care to play it whatsoever. And honestly, I wouldn't have even bothered to open this console if the game just looked like it's supposed to, but I discovered a lot of grossness inside from doing so, so I guess that I'm kind of glad I did in the end. However, I'm not getting my money back for this absolute waste of capital. So, is DKOldies a scam? Well, I'm certainly not happy with what I got, and I will strongly recommend that you look away because you might just be paying a premium to get a console that won't even present well. I was honestly hoping to have better news to report regarding this expense, but it ended up being a total waste of money. But at least I got a video out of it, I guess. Either way, you shouldn't have to pay this much for such a low effort refurbishing and for something that doesn't even work properly. This is just unfortunate. So this has been my dive into DKOldies products. Thank you so much for jumping into tonight's video. I hope that you enjoyed it and that got something out of it. If you feel like I was wrong about anything that I could have said, maybe my technical knowledge when it comes to certain things, or maybe the metal is supposed to look as gross as it does, though I doubt it. But I mean, if I was wrong on anything, I am more than open to hear you out in the comments, because I am always open to learning new things, of course. And also, please make sure to follow me on Instagram, where I do post every now and then, and on Twitch, where I've been streaming a lot less as of recently, but forgive me, it's because of grad school. I should be back up there at some point. So with that said, this has been Francisco from Tech Summit. Thank you for watching, and until next time, enjoy.